on this 2016 to 2024 Honda Civic with the 1.5 turbo engine. P04F1 points us into the EVAP system. In plain terms, the vehicle may be seeing an EVAP performance or plausibility problem, so the car can behave normally, may set a check engine light, and often needs a controlled test instead of a parts guess. The broad areas here are the purge line path, the FTP sensor response, the EVAP canister, and the canister vent shut valve. Start with the basic system checks, then follow the test path in order. First, turn the vehicle to on mode and run the HDS function test. If that function test result is not okay, the failure has been duplicated. That is your starting point before you move into the EVAP hardware checks. Next, inspect the EVAP canister purge line between the intake manifold and the EVAP canister. You are looking for a poor connection, a blockage, or damage. The line and connections should be okay, with no blockage or damage. If this visual inspection is not normal, the problem is in the parts on that purge line path between the intake manifold and the canister. If the visual check is okay, move to the purge line inspection. Disconnect the vacuum hose or purge line from the EVAP canister purge valve. Then disconnect the EVAP canister purge line from the EVAP canister. Connect a T-fitting, the vacuum/pressure gauge with the 0.4 in Hg range, and the vacuum pump/gauge with the 0-30 in Hg range to the EVAP canister purge line. Slowly apply about 2 kPa 0.6 in Hg, 15 mm Hg of vacuum to the hose. For this check, the EVAP canister purge line should not hold vacuum. If that result is abnormal, the problem is in the purge line parts between the EVAP canister purge valve and the EVAP canister. If the purge line checks normal, move to the FTP sensor functional inspection. The FTP sensor is removed, but its connector stays connected. Connect the T-fitting to the vacuum pump/gauge with the 0-30 in Hg range, and connect the vacuum/pressure gauge with the 0.4 in Hg range to the FTP sensor. Turn the vehicle to on mode and confirm the HDS FTP sensor reading before applying vacuum. Then slowly apply about 1.3 kPa 0.4 in Hg, 10 mm Hg of vacuum to the hose. Be careful not to exceed the vacuum because the FTP sensor can be damaged. Now confirm the FTP sensor reading again. The current value and the recorded value on the HDS should be different. If this inspection is abnormal, the fault area is the FTP sensor. Only go to the EVAP canister inspection after the purge line is known normal. For this check, the EVAP canister vent shut valve is removed. Disconnect the vacuum hose or purge line from the EVAP canister purge valve in the engine compartment. Then connect the T-fitting, the vacuum/pressure gauge with the 0.4 in Hg range, and the vacuum pump/gauge with the 0-30 in Hg range to that vacuum hose. Slowly apply about 2 kPa 0.6 in Hg, 15 mm Hg of vacuum to the hose. The vacuum should not be held. If this inspection is abnormal, the fault area is the EVAP canister. If the purge line, FTP sensor inspection, and EVAP canister inspection all indicate normal conditions, the remaining fault area is the EVAP canister vent shut valve. The takeaway on P04F1 is simple. Prove the failure with the function test, then isolate the EVAP purge path, sensor response, canister flow behavior, and finally the vent shut valve without skipping ahead. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.